This civil rights presentation comes to you from the Lake Tahoe Citizens Media Group, reporting from Kings Beach, California. Today we will be talking about a highway project under the jurisdiction of Caltrans, Placer County, the FHWA, and the TRPA, and how this project will violate environmental justice and civil rights. Before getting into project details, let's talk about who is Kings Beach. This U.S. Census map illustrates the Latino profile of Kings Beach versus the profile of Placer County at large. Clearly, Kings Beach has a vastly disproportionate percent of Latinos compared to neighboring communities and the region at large. Zooming in to a block-by-block view. Note that the majority of the Latinos live in the southern portion of this neighborhood, closest to the highway running along Lake Tahoe. The proposed highway project that we will be discussing will congest the highway and divert commercial vehicles through a residential neighborhood. Congestion will be created in the corridor marked in yellow and green. The routes commuters will take through the residential neighborhood in order to avoid the highway congestion are marked in red and blue. This aerial photo shows the residential neighborhood nestled between Highway 267 and Highway 28. It is a quaint, family-based neighborhood. Before speaking to project flaws, please note that there are two proposed alternatives for Kings Beach, an enhanced 4-lane option and an enhanced 2-lane option with a center turning lane. Currently, Highway 28 is 4 lanes. Both options improve the downtown with the installation of large sidewalks, bike lanes, landscaping, enhanced crosswalks, improved bus stops, and traffic calming measures. The difference between the options is only 8 feet of road, the 4 lanes at 44 feet and the 3 lanes at 36 feet. This difference of 8 feet will create heavy congestion, reduce the reliability of public transportation, and divert vehicles into a residential neighborhood. Now let's take a closer look at how diverted commercial traffic will affect the neighborhood. Bearing in mind that social impacts are difficult to quantify, all of the pictures in this presentation were taken in the residential neighborhood in question. Studies endorsed by Caltrans show that streets with higher levels of traffic have less people walking along them. So if traffic is diverted onto these residential streets, parents will be less likely to let their child walk down the block to visit a play friend, i.e., more traffic equals less play and neighborhood recreation. Now, minority children are particularly subject to vehicular accidents. 38.5% of all Californian children are Latino, but these children equal 47.9% of all pedestrian fatalities and injury among children in California. Now, Kings Beach, being a working-class neighborhood in an otherwise elite Lake Tahoe region, has many affordable housing opportunities and high-density living situations. Unfortunately, the majority of our apartments have little to no play area for children. As illustrated here, the play area is the driveway for the complex. Throughout Kings Beach, this leads to children riding their bikes and kicking soccer balls in the streets. Not unlike the quaint residential neighborhood I grew up in. Many affordable opportunities in Kings Beach are outdated and leave residents more susceptible to noise pollution caused by increased traffic. Increases in vehicular noise are shown to cause higher levels of childhood stress and can lead to future health issues. The residential roads of Kings Beach see heavy pedestrian use. We are what is known as a walkable community. An increase of traffic increases the potential for child-to-vehicle accidents. Winter in Kings Beach is a different beast. Heavy snows will reduce the width of the already narrow roadways. Congestion is only really a problem in Tahoe during peak seasons when the second homeowners and vacationers come to visit. So let's take a closer look at the diverted traffic along these roads. County studies show a drastic increase in residential traffic with the implementation of an enhanced 2-lane road instead of an enhanced 4-lane road. This document was taken from the Kings Beach environmental document associated with the highway project and illustrates the diverted commercial traffic. These increases will significantly impact the neighborhood and have an adverse effect upon Latino residents. The Civil Rights Act prohibits any projects that will discriminate upon minorities. Therefore, the local government agencies have done everything possible to ignore any discriminatory effects of the two-lane highway proposal. The project proponents claim that because of safety improvements upon the highway, the safety of the neighborhood is essentially outweighed. Well, there are many obvious flaws in the environmental justice analysis of this highway project. The county's own documentation does not support their claim of improved safety for Latinos. In the draft environmental document, the county admitted that the two-lane project did not improve transportation safety for pedestrians and bicyclists because of the degradation of safety on the residential streets, and that the enhanced four-lane option did achieve the goal of increased safety. The traffic consultant hired by Placer County says in an email that the trade-off between residential safety for that of the highway is unjust. At a public meeting, the consultant went on the record claiming that as many as 10,000 vehicles would be diverted through the neighborhood on peak traffic days. To address diverted traffic, the county has promised to add some safety improvements to the neighborhood. These improvements are, however, insufficient. The county admits in the final environmental document that these improvements will not mitigate the diverted traffic to a level of less than significant. The county admits that nothing shy of 250 separate traffic calming devices installed in this neighborhood would be sufficient in reducing the impacts of this project to a level of less than significant, and claim that such a traffic calming plan is not feasible. The idea was explored of putting up physical roadblocks to keep diverted traffic out of the neighborhood, but the county's traffic consultant concluded that such a proposal would lead to immediate traffic queues on the highway that would exceed 5 miles. By 2028, these traffic queues would exceed 13 miles in both directions. As such, the idea is not considered feasible. The degradation of public transportation is also in violation of environmental justice. Placer County concludes that there is no possible mitigation that would avoid this degradation. The county claims that to reduce the LOS to an acceptable level by 2028, a total of 23 buses would be needed during peak hours. This also is not feasible. Placer County has utterly failed the Latino community with outreach efforts in regards to the highway project. In a neighborhood that is approximately 50% Latino, stronger efforts are required. Placer County held only one meeting in Spanish that was meant to bring the Latino citizenry into the process. 10 minutes into this meeting, I left because there were only 2 Latinas seated at the meeting. A sign-in sheet would concur that this meeting was indeed a failure. Another violation of civil rights is the county's community assessment, an appendix of the final environmental document meant to show a project's impact upon a neighborhood. Using manipulated census data, this document concluded that there was no environmental justice issue. Let me explain. The assessment took a look at 10 select blocks with the intention of showing the racial profile of the blocks affected by the diverted traffic. Seen here on the left are the census blocks used in the analysis. Ultimately, it was concluded that the affected neighborhood was 51.8% Latino, and because Kings Beach as a whole was 48.4% Latino, the affected area is not disproportionately Latino. We will look at several flaws in this thought process. First, the county used what is known as a P8 data set, a data set that only looks at Latinos over the age of 18. Therefore, they insinuate that civil rights do not apply to Latinos under the age of 18. This gives them the result of a 51.8% Latino profile. Using proper data sets that include Latino children in the count, we analyzed the same 10 blocks using the same Census 2000 data and discovered that the actual percentage of Latinos was 58.5%, a difference of about 7% from the county's manipulated data set. But it gets worse. In order to analyze the affected neighborhood, the county uses these 10 blocks. Generally, they appear to have picked the least Latino blocks possible. According to the county's data, these are the most affected blocks in the neighborhood. So we took these blocks and we overlaid them above the previous map. Clearly, the blocks used in the county assessment are not among the most affected blocks in the neighborhood. One of the blocks that the county used, seen on the far left of this map, is a golf course on the other side of the highway from the affected neighborhood. So we took a look at the blocks that are most affected in the neighborhood, and using the same Census 2000 data used by the county, determined that the affected neighborhood is 72% Latino. Of course, there's no need to do any of this, because any project that diverts commercial traffic down these roads within this neighborhood in a region with very few Latinos is clearly an issue of environmental justice.